Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday. It's OCTA Day. And yeah, a week ago, I said it's critical we hold that line in the sand. Guess what? It didn't hold. Now we're in a world of hurt. Or are we? Or is it going to rebound? And that's what we're going to try to get at today. We're going to try to find out exactly where we go to next, what history looks like, what all the different on-chain indicators look like, and talk a little bit about AI and other things that are happening tomorrow that are very important, as well as some more money coming to the US. So let's get into it. A big thank you as well. You see, playing hard to get. No, big thank you to T&D and Sean D and K8 and everybody else for being here. I know it's a hard time, and it's also hard to get up here and try to be positive too, but I will. Let's make it happen. And just a guy on the internet, not financial advice ever, as usual. And thank you to everybody on Patreon as well. Bass Strategy says, I'm very lucky to have stumbled across this channel. It has completely changed my life thanks to this and Patreon. Well, Bass Strategy, I know we've all lost money over the last month or so, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. The key benchmark at the end of every year is to see what your bags were in January 1st and how they are at the end of the year. And that's the most important thing, is to, overcome the little undulations that we go through. Let's get into the ugly news first of all. Fear and greed is at a record 11. That is extreme fear, extremely low. It's rare it gets to this level, nearly at 10. And but there is a slight rebound today. It's good news. Bitcoin, crypto over the last 7 days. This chart is misleadingly positive because certain things did beat Bitcoin, like Leo, XMR, Bitcoin Cash, Binance, all did better than Bitcoin, but that's everything compared to Bitcoin. But when we look at the last week, last 7 days, everything across the board down between 12 and 18%, with the exception of Zcash, which still is doing very, very well. It's that one has been incredible. There has been literally almost no bright spots this bull run, or at least in 2025, except for Zcash. And this is the top 50 over the last 30 days. You can see Zcash is still winning up there. Is that ICP number 2? My goodness. Crypto is something I just, I think, I just want to say I'm very, very grateful for stocks because at least they're somewhat rational. They can be irrational too, but nothing like crypto. Anyway, first real ugly chart 2 is Lee Bitmine is down $3.3 billion in unrealized loss. Shout out to Martin as well. But MicroStrategy at the bottom of the last bear, where I was actually buying, and I know that's also gotten hurt as well. Yeah, I know. But remember, that's why billions are made in the bear. But MicroStrategy at the bottom of the last bear was only down $1.9 billion. Okay. Bitmine down 3.3 unrealized loss. Of course, fingers crossed for Tom Lee and the whole Bitmine team and the Ethereum team that ETH gets back to $5,000. That's what we all hope for. And I know hope is not a strategy. Another crazy news too, lumber tanks. Okay, lumber is wood. When wood tanks like this, it's an extremely, extremely bad omen for the construction industry, because a lot of construction in the US uses a thing called wood. Unlike other places in the world, they use concrete, but wood is a lot of timber frame construction in the United States. And if Jerome Powell is looking at this with his 420 PhDs, I hope they understand that construction is dead. 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 There is no building. None. That's an extremely alarming chart if you ever saw one. And construction industry is a huge part of the actual economy. Now, switching to bad news, and I put this one in the bad news category because November has been ugly. November is normally, historically, the best month for not only tech stocks, but also crypto and Bitcoin. And the average return is 36.8%, which includes the 14.8% debt we're down so far. That used to be over 40% average return before this month began. That's how much this has actually pulled it down. So down nearly 14.8%, and we're down 3% the previous month. So it's been a very horrible Q4, no doubt about that. Historically bad. And money flows as well are flowing out. Digital assets and ETPs across US, Europe, Switzerland, etc. So over $2 billion of outflows last week. People are getting nervous. And a big part of it, actually, Germany, I think, had a positive inflow, but US had a big outflow, $1.97 billion. So it's been pretty rough out there. In terms of the breakdown by product, you can see Bitcoin had the brunt of it. Negative sentiment, etc., down nearly 1.4 billion in a week. That's not the worst week ever, but it's pretty bad. ETH nearly $700 million, which is huge. Solana down only 8 million. Not too bad. XRP 15.5 million. They were kind of minor outflows, but those outflows weren't in the US ETFs, but they were the European ones, which is interesting as well. What this looks like, the month so far for Bitcoin, and we are 18 days, I think, into November, if I'm not mistaken, is down $2.6 billion. Again, reminiscent of the early part of this year in Feb 2025, where it's down nearly $4 billion. So not good. Again, what determines Bitcoin price is money flow and what the whales are doing. If the whales are dumping, it's bad. If the ETFs are not buying, it's bad. Saylor was buying. He bought over 8,200 last week, which is big, but not enough to offset this dumpage. Now, believe it or not, that was all the ugly and bad news. But the good news, let's see what we can find. And remember, this is just data. I share the data so you can make your own decisions yourselves. Whales with over 1,000 Bitcoin. We're watching patiently. They've been dumping like madmen since summer, since July. But guess what? While Bitcoin dropped to 89,550 yesterday, according to Glassnode, we had a big jump in wallets holding more than 1,000 Bitcoin, and they started buying on Friday. They've been layering in. They've been buying this dip, which is very refreshing to see. Not that, oh, the OG whales are dumping. No, well, some of them are actually buying too. And they waited for this opportunity. They thought, 90K Bitcoin down from 125K. That seems like a good deal to me. And the number of whales has risen. It doesn't sound like much, 2.2%, but that's about 40 new whales that have added, 1,000 plus Bitcoin just in the past couple of weeks. And that's also the highest level we've had in the last 4 months. So again, all is not lost. That's the point of that. If somebody's buying like these whales, that's a pretty good sign. Also, a 15-year-old wallet buys 10,145 Bitcoin. These are the wallets that have been traditionally selling for the longest time. But they came in and they bought. They bought at $93,000. So again, didn't exactly nail the bottom, but it's a big bag. Imagine just going in and just buying 10,000 Bitcoin at one fell swoop, which totals to approximately nearly $1 billion. Ooh. Wonder who that is. Like, that's not a sovereign state or anybody else. That's somebody very special. Maybe they took a little bit. Maybe they were one of the OG whales selling. They took 10,000 off the top, or even 8,000 when it was at 120K, and then they bought it back at low 90K. That's the way to do it if you don't have taxes. Anyway, let's look at some more charts too. Shout out to CryptoQuant as well. This is an interesting one because, again, and I do want to remind everybody, this time, since January 2024, everything is different. I know they're the most dangerous words that you can say in investing, but literally nothing is the same compared to other previous cycles, which actually is a positive because we don't want them to necessarily be the same. But if we look at this chart, it goes way back and it talks about how the dip into April 2024 with the tariff tantrums, etc., that whole period, it took 44 days to dip, and the whole, before the recovery happened, the whole period is 78 days. So 44 days to dip, 34 days to recover. The recovery is always faster than the dip. But what's interesting about this dip, we've been going down now for 43 days, okay? This really rhymes, okay? Back in April, we went down to $75,000 Bitcoin. Yesterday, we went down to 90,000 from 125. We're way below the 200-day moving average. But what is super interesting is the duration of the dip. 44 days in April, 43 days this time around. Will the recovery last? I don't know. If it does, And this pattern repeats, we could be back to all-time highs in 34, 33 days. We'll see. It is eerily similar in terms of time frame. Again, please don't be mad at me. I'm just seeing a lot of parallels here, and I'm sharing them too. And also, this combined with the whales buying is a positive sign. Two other things that are important to note as well is regarding a couple of key levels. The fair value for Bitcoin is now at about 86,500, and I think the realized price is about 79,000. So watch those two levels as well. If we break 79,000, which is pretty close to 75K where we were 6 months ago, that could be bad. Anyway, we'll see. Also, this is a cool chart from On-Chain College. Shout out to OCC. Haven't seen you in a while, or haven't seen your content in a while for some reason, but this one popped up on my radar. And he has been tracking the exact setup of Bitcoin net realized profit loss since the beginning of 2025. Every time it goes red for a brief amount of time. And that's a signal that is aligned with every single local bottom this cycle in 2025. Now, it just dipped there as well. Does this mean the bottom is in? A lot of experts seem to think so. We don't know. Could it be death and disorder for the next 1 year? I don't know. But the macro has me very positive. This is where I get stuck. All else doesn't look good, but the macro, the rate cuts, the money printing, the sovereigns buying, all of that stuff is extremely positive. Even these old whales coming in and buying, and the 1,000+ whales as well buying. All pretty good stuff. Again, let's look at some other ones regarding the realized loss. Every time we go below 12% realized loss, this is higher than that. It's actually about 16%. Not only is it short-lived, but it marks a bottom. Normally, it marks a rebound signal. And now it's at 16%, not 12%. So we are very, very oversold unless we're in a bear market. If we're in a bear, all bets are off. But we never had a bull, so how can we have a bear? That's kind of my little phrase I made up last week. And UBS, Bankverein, anybody there in Switzerland? Hello, saluti. $6 trillion UBS just increased their Bitcoin bags by 24% to nearly $500 million. Not bad. But they are buying, and also we've got central banks nibbling as well. So nothing but goodness. Let's look at some crypto as well. Just like last week, Zcash privacy still wins. And I still believe this is actually fueled by the clampdown in Europe of all the crazy stuff happening. And the number 2 category narrative is file storage. Number 3 is store of value, up 8.5% over the last month. File storage up 29%. And privacy coin up 96%. It's incredible. As I say, every dog has its day, but this privacy thing, again, shout out to Lagarde and Van der Leyen and all those people. They're probably helping with that too. And of all the ETF flows yesterday, there was only one that was positive, and that was Solana. You see they all had a little inflow here. The Bitwise Solana fund had 7.3 million, not a lot. GSOL, that's the grayscale one, had 0.9. And VSOL, VanEck, is that even open yet? I don't think it's open yet, but coming to. And I don't know why Rex is not on this list from our friends. But anyway, we won't worry about that. And is it AltSeason or Bitcoin season? It's still Bitcoin season, but we did have a little bit of a pop to 45, and that is represented by the fact that over the last 90 days, some alts have actually outperformed Bitcoin, 45% of the top 50. Now, in other news too, many people thought that 1010, the big liquidation event, $20 billion wiped out, wrecked a lot of people. People thought that's it. Nobody would be dexing anymore. They'd leave crypto, no more perp trades, etc. Well, despite the 1010 event, DEX volumes are recovering, and in the lead here is Solana, 32 billion. That was Sunday, November 2nd's data. Ethereum, 24.5 billion. Binance, 20 billion. Hyperliquid, 4 billion. Cardano, shout out to Cardano, $16 million. Thanks for playing. Ripple, $2,000 of DEX volume. Ripple is the biggest joke. I just don't understand. It's one of the things that it just annoys the dickens out of me in crypto. It's just anyway. Please, everybody, do some fundamental research into Ripple. Get your answers. Now, switch gears to stocks. Sorry if I offended any XRP fans in the audience, but this was an ugly last 7 days. A lot of red, with the exception of Eli Lilly, green, and Johnson & Johnson, green. Big Pharma hasn't done well in quite some time, but there's a lot of talk now that AI is going to really accelerate their development life cycle and help them become much better at getting drugs approved by the FDA and other places. Maybe also find out new therapies. Remember, 2026 is going to be wild when it comes to AI, and Elon Musk believes a 10% chance we will have AGI. But Tesla down 7%, Amazon down 10%, Google down 1%, Microsoft 3%, NVIDIA 6.3%, Apple 0.7%. It's been horrible. Broadcom 4%, ugly across the board, or, everything down. And this is weird because the fear and greed for equities is the exact same as crypto at down 11%, which is crazy. Now, this is another completely wild chart, I believe. This is the median value of stock market investments for Americans. It does not include crypto unless it's a part of a Bitcoin ETF or something like that. But this has tripled since 2020. In less than 5 years, it's gone from 100K to 300,000. And that's the average, the median value of stock market investments. Of course, if you add up all the people with accounts, that's right in the middle. Of course, it's skewed very heavily to the upside. If you take the average, it's more like $850,000 average equity bag. Now, speaking of equities, we do have the NVIDIA earnings call tomorrow. A lot of people are positive. Some are negative. Their earnings, can they beat on revenue? Can they beat on earnings per share? We'll analyze this carefully tonight. I'll share that on Patreon. But if NVIDIA misses, it could really hurt tech stocks and AI. And people say, oh, the AI bubble's bursting, etc. So that could be pretty ugly. So watch for that tomorrow. We'll see. A lot of people still believe there's infinite demand for GPUs. And in other stock news, emerging markets had the best gainers in 21 years. 10 consecutive monthly gains, longest streak in 21 years as well. And it's now surpassed all the bad news emerging market stocks have had over the last 2 decades. So we'll see. Things are beginning to pop. And the question is, why are emerging market stocks doing so well? Well, first of all, I believe they're very beaten down. Second of all, they're also beginning to take advantage of AI. We have a lot of companies, technology companies in the United States that are earning more, spending less. And I attribute that to AI. Emerging market stocks are doing the same thing too. Speaking of AI, Robotaxi goes wide. There are people now in Canada that you can basically download this app on your iPhone. And if you are in Texas, Austin, Texas, or in the San Francisco Bay Area, or Palo Alto, or San Jose, or even Marin, you can now order a Robotaxi. Now, as they scale, okay, it just went wide a few hours ago. I have it on my phone. You can see and hail a car now. It's gone wide. And the reason this is so important, this is the confidence that Tesla has. It's like, okay, let's go. Let's get 2,000 cars running around these 2 areas by the end of the year. And they have a whole bunch of other cities. They'll have 8 to 10 cities up and running by the end of the year as well. And then they're going to go big. They could have 2,000 cars running around across 2 cities by Christmas. And if that's the case, they pretty much have exceeded how many Waymo has in the Bay Area and Austin too. That's kind of their 2 big main focuses. So it's coming. And Elon Musk warned Bill Gates, if Gates hasn't fully closed out the crazy short position he held against Tesla for 8 years, he had better do so soon. And Bill Gates Foundation dumped 65% of its Microsoft position for a total of $8.8 billion. Literally, he's been selling all his Microsoft stock for the longest time. If he was like the guy that works for him, I can't remember his name, the number 2 guy at Microsoft. If he was like him and held his bags, he would have had a lot more money. This is when holding actually does work. I wish I could remember his name. It'll come to me anyway. He was the guy that was dancing on stage and got really sweaty in the shirt and things like that. What's his name? Brain fart. There you go. It's been a rough week. Some trauma. But this is funny. What is he, or why is he selling his Microsoft stock? Is it because Microsoft is toppy? Or does he have to cover his short? It'd be hilarious if he's covering a short. Speaking of money too, guess who had dinner with MBS last night? Now, I'm not getting political here. I'm just sharing a chart, and it's all about money. This channel is about money. Good, bad, or indifferent. Money is money. But MBS from Saudi Arabia is going to invest $1 trillion in the USA. And their focus, he said very specifically, in technology, AI, and magnets. Okay, see the pattern here? They're the three things they're going to invest in. The US needs to focus on those two. And Elon Musk was at dinner with these two gentlemen last night too. That's why I care. Also, speaking of Elon Musk and XAI Grok 4.1 now destroys all the other LLMs out there. Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, all the different versions, etc. It's running further and further ahead. And by the end of this year or early next, we'll have Grok 5, which will wipe the floor with everything. Winner takes most, way of the universe, as you know from watching this. And this is funny too, meme du jour, I thought it was kind of appropriate. Everybody is copying Elon Musk. You've got Scam Altman, you got the guy from Facebook, Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos just came out of retirement to set up an AI company. Okay? Elon Musk funded OpenAI, built the whole team, and it was taken from him or gave it away. And Zuckerberg's trying to do the same thing. Zuckerberg hasn't tried to do space yet, but we'll see. But data centers in space is going to be a thing. I guess we'll win that too. It's a foregone conclusion. Thank you all for being here, everybody. I appreciate you. All these videos every day are turned into Substacks. You can listen to them at a podcast at the gym, or read, or get all the slides, etc. And I hope you all learned something today as well. Big thank you as well to Sean D, T&D, K8, and everybody else. Hang in there. Let's check on the market, see if it's doing anything. Since I've been on, yeah, Bitcoin just 93K. It's recovered. It's up 3,500 from the bottom last night. We'll see where we go. Could be a dead cat bounce. It could be something real. We shall see. I'm going to watch the ETF flows later very carefully too. Thank you all, everybody. Have a great evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.